Observe any crowded city street, and you see a default human rhythm. People moving rapidly, heads down, drifting through the day without a specific destination or a clear sense of why they are there. The writer of Ephesians identified this state centuries ago, describing it as walking as fools in evil days. He suggests that if we don't actively resist the current, the natural tide of life pulls us toward decay and distraction. But that drift creates an internal friction. We recognize a persistent realization that human existence is designed for a higher purpose than biological survival and daily errands. To manage the weight of that realization, we often reach for a temporary fix. We try to numb the void with excess. The text points to a specific historical example of this reflex, being drunk with wine. The flaw in this strategy is structural. External consumption cannot fill an internal spiritual emptiness. It is a mismatch of resources. Moving from this aimless state to a purposeful life requires an intentional rejection of these default behaviors. Instead, it requires 3 radical personal exchanges. This first exchange targets our daily behavior. We must trade the foolishness of the drift for intentional wisdom. This starts with walking circumspectly. Imagine a radar sweep. It means remaining acutely aware of your environment and the spiritual consequences of your choices. This awareness leads to a specific behavioral tactic mentioned in the text, redeeming the time. This diagram illustrates what redeeming actually means. Time is not an infinite resource we can afford to let bleed away. It is a finite, valuable commodity that must be actively rescued from being wasted. Making this first exchange transforms a reactive existence into an active, measured pursuit of a specific goal. But having measured steps is only useful if you know where to walk. The second exchange requires trading spiritual ignorance for a clear understanding of God's will. Wisdom provides us with a steady gait, but it requires a destination and a guiding framework to be effective. The source material provides a 3-part framework for understanding how God's will functions in a person's life. The outermost boundary is God's sovereign will. This is His unchangeable, overarching plan for the universe that stands regardless of human choice. Inside that boundary is God's revealed will. These nodes represent the explicit moral laws and truths given to humanity through Scripture. Finally, the innermost circle represents God's personal guidance. This illustrates how the Spirit directs individual daily actions, sending a pulsing path through the specific needs of your life. The rule for navigating this framework is that personal guidance will always align with the revealed moral laws and stay within the boundary of the sovereign plan. Understanding these 3 facets provides the alignment needed to navigate the distractions of the modern world with precision. Even with a measured step and a set destination, you still require a power source. You need the energy to actually walk the path. This leads to the third exchange, trading temporary excess for the fullness of the Spirit. This layout illustrates the divide. Being filled with wine is a temporary, consumption-based high that eventually fades. Being filled with the Spirit provides a steady, enduring internal fullness. But how does this spiritual fullness manifest in an ordinary life? What are the tangible signs? The first result is heartfelt worship. It creates a continuous internal melody, a shift in what you produce that remains consistent regardless of external chaos. The second result is a heart of gratitude. It alters your perspective so deeply that you find ways to give thanks for all things, producing life even when the ground around you is dry and cracked. The worthy walk is the direct result of these 3 daily choices. By trading foolishness for wisdom, ignorance for divine alignment, and empty excess for spiritual fullness that produces gratitude in even the hardest ground, we finally begin to make every step count.